Good evening, welcome to the weekend. It is Friday, the second day of December 2022, and a very busy day for the president, whose itinerary was full with at least 4 events covered in just a single day. We have those stories and so much more lined up for you today, as well as the World Cup, where Ghana will be looking to see how they score or go home. We have that and so much more. But before we get into all the day's activities, here are our top stories. Tonight on Lookup Weekend, President William Ruto suspends the 4 embattled IEBC commissioners, paving way for investigations into their conduct by a 9-member tribunal.
Tumefaulu kupeana mitihani kwa shule zetu 45 ambazo zinafanya mtihani.
Kuna ulinzi wa kutosha, kuna askari watasimamia mtihani wakishirikiana na washikadau wengine.
Over 800,000 students across the country begin their Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams.
The laws are there, the policies are there, then implementation becomes a challenge. You'll recognize that within the wheel of justice, there are various facets or entities or agencies that need to do a certain activity to ensure that the whole cycle of justice is concluded.
And over 5,000 cases of gender-based violence reported this year as communities are called on to take charge in the fight at the launch of the 16 days of activism against GBV. This is Lookup Weekend coming to you live from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. And I am Nelima. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is Felista Adundo. Do stay with us, and you can catch us live across all our social media platforms at Lookuptv on Facebook, Lookuptv on Twitter, and Lookuptv on our YouTube channel. Let's begin. IEBC Commissioner Justice Nyang'aya has resigned. Nyang'aya's resignation comes hours after President William Ruto suspended him and 3 other commissioners from office following a recommendation of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly. Others suspended are Vice Chair Juliana Cherera and Commissioners Irene Masit and Francis Wanderi. President William Ruto on Friday also formed a 5-member committee that will probe the suspended commissioners. And still on the electoral body, President William Ruto has suspended the 4 IEBC commissioners with immediate effect. Ruto then appointed Court of Appeal Judge Agrim Chelule to chair a 5-member tribunal to probe the 4 embattled IEBC commissioners. The appointment comes after Parliament made a recommendation to have the 4 commissioners investigated.
The goose for the Cherera 4 is already cooked after President William Ruto on Friday suspended them from office with immediate effect. The president then appointed a 5-member tribunal to probe their conduct after the 4 IEBC commissioners boycotted the announcement of the presidential election results. Cherera, Masit, Wanderi and Nyang'aya distanced themselves from the Chebukati announcement, terming the presidential results opaque. The 4 IEBC commissioners' actions are now on trial both in the National Assembly and the political arena. The Gazette notice reads, and I quote, "Having received and considered the petition of the National Assembly and in exercise of the prerogative vested in the head of state and government by Article 251 of the Constitution, therefore I, William Ruto, direct as follows, that Cherera, Wanderi, Masit and Nyang'aya, being members of the IEBC, are suspended from office with immediate effect." End of quote. In a Gazette notice on Friday, the president directed the 5-member tribunal to look into the conduct of the 4 IEBC commissioners and consider the petitions for their removal from office as members of the IEBC. During the suspension and the period of the tribunal trial, they will be entitled to only half their salaries. According to the Gazette notice, the tribunal is expected to consider the petition for the removal of Juliana Honge Cherera, Francis Madenge Wanderi, Irene Cherop Masit, and Justice Abonyo Nyang'aya from office as members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC, and to inquire into the allegations therein. The 5-member team comprises of Court of Appeal Judge Agri Agri Mchelule, who will be the chair. Members of the tribunal are Caroline Kamende Daudi, Linda Kiome, Matthew Nyabena, and retired Colonel Isaac Hamis Said. Kibet Kirui Emmanuel and Irene Tuta Nkoe have also been appointed joint secretaries. The tribunal's lead counsel will be Peter Munge Murage, who will be assisted by Zamzam Abdi Abib. After probing, the tribunal will prepare and submit a report and its recommendations their own expeditiously. The tribunal appointments follows a report by Parliament recommending the same. The National Assembly voted Thursday night after extending sittings beyond the normal time to adopt a committee report that recommended for their ejection. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee did confirm that the 4 petitions seeking for the removal of the 4 IEBC commissioners did meet the threshold for them to be kicked out of office. Brian Amoai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mai, for those details. Now let's talk matters politics. Azimio leader Raila Odinga has announced the start of his public engagements to oppose President William Ruto's administration. Odinga, who met leaders from Nairobi County, accused the president of plotting for the 2027 elections over the removal of 4 IEBC commissioners from office. Odinga has called on his supporters to converge at the historic Kamukunji grounds on Wednesday next week for the start of the public rallies.
Forced out because William Ruto and the older administration want a clean slate at the IEBC and fill it with his stooges and henchmen for the 2027 elections. Mr. Ruto wants to rig the 2027 elections in 2022. That's why from today you announce the launch of that pushback we talked about a few days ago. On the 7th of December, at the historic Kamukunji grounds here in Nairobi, we launched a public consultations with the people of Kenya to brainstorm on the direction the country is taking. Then we will return to Kamukunji grounds on the 12th of December to continue with these consultations on the state of the Kenyan nation, and also to have a prayer for Kenya, a prayer for democracy in our country, which is right now under a threat by this administration. Finally, we wish to remind Mr. Ruto that this country has had a system like the one he is trying to reinvent. We fought that system. We brought down that system. We will do so to the one he is inventing now. We will bring it down. Let us all stand up for our country before it is too late. Thank you.
Education matters. A total of 4,300 Kenyan Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE candidates have begun their examinations in Kisii Central Sub-County today. The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with security agencies in the county, has put in place measures to ensure the process runs uninterrupted. A total of 884,263 candidates are set to sit for the exams that are scheduled to run through to the 23rd of this month.
Speaking during the distribution of the exams in Kisii town, the area Deputy County Commissioner Wilberforce Kilonzo has noted that the government has made adequate arrangements for students in health facilities and police cells to take the exams, and assured parents that all students enrolled for this year's KCSE will complete the process.
Ningependa kusema kwamba siku ya leo tumefaulu kupeana mitihani kwa shule zetu 45 ambazo zinafanya mtihani wa KCSE. Tayari wameweza kuondoka wakitumia magari ya shule na ya serikali wakiandamana na maafisa wa usalama.
Kisii Central Sub-County Director of Education Cyrus Juma has noted that they are expecting a smooth running of examinations as they have deployed enough vehicles and security personnel.
Tumeweka mipango ya kushughulikia wale wanafunzi ambao pengine kwa sababu moja au nyingine watajipata hospitalini, ama wale ambao pengine wanaweza kuwa wamefanya makosa wakajipata pale korokoroni. Kwa hivyo tunataka kuhakikishia wazazi wote kwamba mtoto yote ambaye alisajiliwa kufanya mtihani wake wa kidato cha 4 ataufanya.
On his part, Kisii County TSC Deputy Director Jackson Muge has said enough invigilators, supervisors and center managers had been deployed and all the centers are well covered.
Our security personnel are under instruction to make sure that they keep an eye on the mid-morning examination, or the second paper as you call it, so that at any one point we know we have deployed 2 security personnel. One will be in charge of the school compound, the center, the whole center, and then the other one is deployed to take care of the second or mid-morning exam. And they are under instruction that at any no time would they lose sight of that examination. So I think that is enough security for that paper.
The ministry has also a few personnel on standby to take care of emergencies and will address any challenges that arise in the course of the exams. Samedika, Lookuptv.
And on that note, we take a very short break, but do stay with us. On the other side of the break, we have a lot on the business front as well as some sporting action.
A very small percentage of people can protect what the future holds. Mahiga Homes has a track record that speaks for itself. With 5.95 million, you can get a 3-bedroom flat roof bungalow at Golden Park, Juja. We've handed over 9 estates and the 10th handover is coming soon. Your dream home is just a step away.
Nilipiga hesabu yangu nikapata nimekata gharama yangu na 50%. 50. Si hiyo ni Mungu. Asante Makiga.
Katika chama wetu ya wamama, sisi nilinunua mashini ya Makiga. Yawa, si ndio hii matokeo? Ni maringa.
Siri ya ujenzi, siri ni Makiga.
So mimi nilikuwa mmoja.
They say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and this one is nothing less than 7 years with which you have walked with us hand in hand. In that treacherous journey, we have made people make these celebrated steps. Not even the pandemic could have stopped us. Together, we went past life's uncertainties. Every foundation we built, every wall, every roof we put up, you made it possible. With your help, we have nurtured and developed athletics from grass level to grace the international scene. Because of you, it has been possible to respond during tough times. In drought and in famine, you have been there with us. Thank you for partnering with us to change lives.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the Lotto Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
With the Lookuptv weekend. Nelima here and Felista Adundo on the sign language interpretation. Moving on, a day after the government gazetted the names of 51 principal secretaries following their vetting and approval by the National Assembly, President William Ruto has this morning presided over their swearing-in ceremony at State House, Nairobi. The head of state demanded service delivery from these men and women who are taking up the role of running various ministries in a technical capacity. Our reporter Henry Tende now reports.
Susan Auma Mangeni.
I, Fantas Kimodo Kimani.
Hi, Gitonga Mugambi Mukeda.
I, Geoffrey Eyanae Kaituko.
One by one, 51 men and women gazetted by government as principal secretaries took their oath of office before His Excellency President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi.
Being called on to exercise the function of the principal secretary.
Do swear that, except with the authority of the President,
I will not directly or indirectly
reveal the nature or contents of any business.
They are swearing in, signaling a significant task ahead, the task to make sure their respective ministries work with the sole purpose of helping the Kenya Kwanza government deliver on its mandate. And so the head of state made clear his demands, warning them not to serve their personal interest, but instead stick to service delivery to all Kenyans.
I will expect every principal secretary to work diligently and to work to the best of their ability to serve the 53 million people of the Republic of Kenya.
To ensure a united front from his cabinet in service delivery, President William Ruto has warned against infighting among the newly sworn-in principal secretaries.
In the various departments that you will be working, you should understand that you are not only responsible for your department, you are not only responsible for your state department, but you serve under the collective responsibility of the entire government of the Republic of Kenya. You have as much duty, you have as much responsibility over your department as you do over the entire government of Kenya.
The Commander-in-Chief has, in the same breath, implored the principal secretaries to take care of the welfare of the workforce in their respective ministries to forge a great culture that will lead to improved service delivery.
It is my belief that we will marshal all the resources of government to sharpen the human capital of our republic so that we can use it to drive our development, to drive our investment, to drive our agriculture, and to make sure that no Kenyan is left behind.
Principal secretaries, President William Ruto is convinced his government is set to meet its pre-election promises as he aims to revolutionize the economy through the bottom-up economic model.
I want to promise you that as the team leader, I will work with each and every one of you so that we can together commit and deliver to the people of Kenya.
Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Henry Tende, for that report. Away from that, Presidential Advisor on Gender Affairs, Dr. Harry Chigai, has called upon communities to take charge in the fight against gender-based violence. Chigai spoke while launching this year's 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence in Nairobi County. During the launch, it was reported that this year alone, cases of GBV have been reported to stand at 5,140 countrywide, and more cases are still being reported in various safety facilities across the county.
Kenya joined the global community in marking the 31st anniversary of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence as the numbers of GBV cases in Kenya continue to rise, which in turn contributes to HIV prevalence in the country.
In as much as we talk about women being violated, we're also seeing a very high number of the boy child being a victim of violence. Sodomy in this country is never spoken about, but in Nairobi alone, out of 1,568 cases reported, it is shocking to note that 121 reported cases are actually young boys who have been sodomized.
According to a report by the Kenya Healthcare Information System of data collected between January and September this year, the numbers of rape survivors between the age of 0 to 11 years stand at 672, with 1,655 representing those between the age of 12 to 17 years. Victims with disability cases between the age of 0 to 17 years reported stand at 37.
There's work going on, especially being driven by the county government. And ours at the national level is to support what is already going on. And my office, and of course the office of the president, is keen to ensure that the promises made to the Kenyan people are actually adhered to.
Within Nairobi County, out of the approximately 1,000 hospitals that we have now come up with 48 SGBV integrated clinics that we call them Tumaini. We call them Tumaini so that we restore dignity and hope to survivors of sexual violence.
The laws are there, the policies are there, then implementation becomes a challenge. You'll recognize that within the wheel of justice, there are various facets or entities or agencies that need to do a certain activity to ensure that the whole cycle of justice is concluded. For instance, when you receive a victim of gender-based violence at the hospital, the first contact person then is the doctor or the nurse who receives them at the hospital. So the question then is, what are the gaps within the medical facility?
Even though in June 2021, the government of Kenya made a valiant decision to end GBV by the year 2026 through implementing GBV laws and policies, a number of gaps remain exposed, such as quality and timely medical treatment, limited access to shelter or safe houses, protection and financial assistance, among others. Presidential Advisor on Gender Affairs Dr. Harriet Chigai has assured of the government's commitment to the fight against GBV.
And now let's keep up with the drought watch. The National Steering Committee on Drought Response has raised 592 million Kenya shillings for Kenyans facing drought and famine. The committee, headed by Safaricom CEO Pete Ndegwa, said the funds will be used to purchase food for distribution and also do cash transfers.
Asante sana. Asante sana. Thank you. Very good. Asante sana.
Into some politics of the mountain, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has rallied the Mount Kenya region to maintain unity of purpose and support President William Ruto and his government's development agenda. Gachagua reiterated that he will continue to engage with all leaders in the region, irrespective of their political persuasions, to rally them behind President Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza administration. Gachagua spoke while commissioning the Murang'a Technical Training Institute in Maragua constituency.
Kenya Kwanza government under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. William Ruto will build 52 additional TVET institutions to support access to state-of-the-art training and equipment. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to further reaffirm the government's commitment in making TVETs accessible and affordable to the Kenyan youth. The government is committed to providing capitation to trainees in TVET institutions under the Ministry of Education. The skills being imparted to our youth in TVET institutions, including Murang'a Technical Institute, will go a long way in creating employment for our youth, fighting poverty and building our local economies. As a government, we are on a path to rebuilding back our economy, and we count on innovations and ideas birthed and incubated at our learning institutions for industrialization. Yesterday, the President approved the employment of 3,000 technical teachers in January. Kwa hivyo mtapata walimu.
Now, a report by Election Observer Group ELOG about this year's general election has given a thumbs up to the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, for the way it conducted the elections. The report says the elections were credible and to a larger extent peaceful. It has, however, raised queries on the level of security for IEBC poll officials and the use of technology in the management of the 2022 elections.
To the portal, from the ballot to the portal. I would like to invite Mule Musau.
And we are recommending that we work with the IBC and other stakeholders to ensure electoral legal reforms are introduced and debated in a timely manner. We feel there's no reason why the Campaign Financing Act cannot be operationalized, and also a solution to the two-thirds gender rule cannot be articulated by Parliament. They need to do that, and then provide effective oversight and timely approvals for IBC annual budgets. On the National Police Service, we again, as I said, they are better prepared and exercise more restraint during these elections, which is a good thing. So our recommendations are need for adequate and accountable security to be provided to all stakeholders, including observers, including IEBC officials. And in this regard, we have actually mentioned the harassment and even the killing of an IEBC official during the election. We think that security was not enough, was not adequate to guarantee those officers' security. Invest in improved training to judicial officers on election dispute resolution to enhance skills, and especially on technology. Because again, there are questions about whether the judiciary is well anchored when it comes to issues about the technology, and sometimes you have to get experts from outside to come and take the officers through technology-driven processes. So we feel that's an area for improvement.
Now let's talk business. Agriculture firm Kakuzi Holdings has signed a collective bargaining agreement with Kenya Plantation and Agriculture Workers Union aimed at giving its unionized workers a pay rise of 9% this year and in 2023. Edwin John Mukora now reports.
Move will result to an increase in the company's operating cost, with salaries contributing to the increased expenses. In the year ending December 2021, the agriculture firm had 3,662 employees, with the majority being on short-term contracts and 70 employees in the managerial ranks. Kakuzi's total payroll cost rose to 920.2 million shillings in the review period, up from 810.8 million shillings in the year before. This comes on a backdrop of companies cutting down jobs and halting salary increment due to tough economic times. Edwin John Mukora, Look Up Business.
And that business story by Edwin John Mukora concludes it for us here on Look Up Weekend. But of course, just to bring you up to speed with what's happening in the world of sports. Now, Ghana have lost 2-0 to Uruguay just a few minutes ago. And as well, Portugal has lost to South Korea. That is 1-2 in favor of South Korea. And we'll be waiting to look at Serbia and Switzerland, a match that will be going down at 10 p.m. tonight, as well as Cameroon and Brazil, which will be happening at 10 p.m. as well. So there'll be some hope still left for Africa as we wait to see Cameroon beat Brazil, perhaps. That is all we got for you tonight right here on the program. But remember, the rush will be coming up in just a few minutes. So if you've not figured out your weekend plans yet, Lookuptv has got you. Keep it right here. I am Nancy Nelima. Our sign language interpreter for tonight has been Felista Adundo. Have yourselves a